Hello and welcome to Defense India podcast. And before we start this video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Defense India podcast, the podcast where we discuss matters related to India's internal security. And as always, joining me on the podcast is Vicky Najapa. Vicky, welcome to the podcast once again.
Thanks, Akash. Thank you.
And seeing you wearing a leather jacket, I feel very hot in the sense that where I am, there is too much of, the weather is too much hot. Where you are, the weather is absolutely cold. So the stark difference in weather in India itself. But of course, what has not changed is the situation in Manipur. Absolutely. Mayhem there on the ground. So a few days ago, the news came from the CMO in Manipur that around 900 militants have basically infiltrated into Manipur, and there is a possibility that they can carry out a huge attack in Manipur targeting the meiteis. But today, the story has come in that the security agencies are saying that the assessment is absolutely wrong. There are no 900 militants that have infiltrated through Myanmar. So first of all, I just want to get your insight about this thing. Is it true? Is it not? Has there been an infiltration on the India-Myanmar border or not?
Yeah, see, sometimes what happens is, to amplify the problem, we have, people sometimes, they put a number to things, and when you put a number to things, then, it becomes extremely difficult to substantiate it, all right? That is one thing, like, who has counted these a number of people, even, during the airstrikes also the same thing came up, they were asking how many people were killed and things like that. So, in such a situation, it's a little difficult to put a number on that. Okay, that being said, I mean, whether it's 900 or 100 or 500, the fact is that there has been infiltration going on large scale, with the whole security mechanism, diverted towards controlling the violence out there. At that time, what happens? The borders tend to get a little weaker, and infiltration starts coming in, because in the previous podcast we've actually discussed saying that it just doesn't remain a local problem. There's definitely an external element to it, and these people coming in. I mean, I wouldn't like to put a number to it. As I said, whether it's 100 or 900, infiltration is infiltration at the end of it, and the violence just does not seem to be dying down at all. And the way in which things have shaped up in Manipur, it's, I mean, the basic issue is not being spoken about anymore, and more about, these Kuki Militants, just going on a rampage, with rocket launchers and, such sophisticated arms. I think that requires more of a discourse that, than the actual number of people who have, infiltrated, because it is going to take time for the security agencies to exactly assess that number and then, come to some kind of a conclusion.
Yeah, Vicky, but still, giving a number like 900 is not a small deal altogether. So, like, if you say that 900, so it's like more of a battalion or something like that, entering into. And they said that they came into India in a batch of 30. In one group there were 30 people, then another. So that kind of, so it is not a small infiltration bit. If we even take CMO's report on its face. So how can such a big lapse could happen on a very sensitive border that time and again we have seen that if something happens in the northeast, then these elements use the Indian Myanmar border to come from Myanmar, take down these kind of take some incidents like these, and then they again run back to Myanmar. And I think it was in 2016 or 17 we saw something similar, that an attack on the Indian Army took place like that near the border in Manipur also. So that kind of situation also then raises a lot of question over the fact that what is happening in Manipur. So so the situation on the ground is not good. Before starting the podcast, we also had a discussion about that Shiv temple that was desecrated in Manipur. It was burned down, and it was not the first time. Basically, an attempt was also made earlier on the same temple, and then it was burned down. So these kind of things are happening, and on the other hand, on the border, the situation is not normal. We are hearing these infiltration bids and all those kind of things. So, what is happening on the ground? Is the government of India? I will question over here about the intentions of the government of India. That what are they doing on the border?
Okay. You see, there's been a lot of criticism, I mean, about the manner in which the government, I mean, especially the center, the way the whole issue has been handled. But sometimes, as we discussed earlier, also that sometimes conflicts within a state are best handled by the state mechanism. That is one thing, and at one time, the government is talking about, the reduction of central forces and, revocation of AFSPA and, these laws, and then now you're forced to send in the central forces. So, there's been a little bit of, confusing signals on that front. And again, once again, coming back to the infiltrations, as I said, this is not a border that, has exactly been, very peaceful all the time. There have been infiltrations from Myanmar in various other forms also. So there's nothing new in these infiltrations. But again, it's also not clear, when the chief minister had said that 900 infiltration, he does not exactly specify a period, okay, or exactly a period of, over the duration of, how and when these infiltrations happen, because he just said 900 have infiltrated and, they've been very well trained, and they are expected to launch an attack on these meitei villages around September 20th. That is what the CMO had said at that time. And coming back to the fact is that, as I said, that when there is so much of violence in the state, it is bound to, it's bound to happen, these kind of infiltrations, that is exactly what we got to see for many years in Jammu Kashmir also, trigger of violence in Jammu Kashmir, have stone pelting, have the whole security mechanism diverted here, and then, you carry on with the infiltration. So it's something very similar that is happening in Manipur also there. And I think about the dealing of the Manipur problem by the center, I think, I mean, I really wish it was a little faster. I thought the reaction time was a little slow at the beginning, and I'm not seeing much happening now because, there's a lot of diversion, towards the state elections which are on, and, Jammu Kashmir elections, etc. That does not mean that, the violence in Manipur has died down at all. I mean, it's only getting worse by the day.
Right.
And coming to that question regarding the Shiva temple, an attempt being made to burn it down, it's been partially damaged. In fact, I mean, it clearly shows that, the thing is, it's no longer just this one, it's not just a regional problem, who gets more out there. It's like, a lot of these Christian militants, or these Kuki Christian militants from there have come and in a very specific, manner targeted a temple, which only goes on to say that, they're trying to send across a message to Hindus that, the bigger goal is to have them as a majority out there. Like, what we've been seeing in Bangladesh,
Right.
the for Hindus and the Hindu temples and things. So replicate something, similar out here also. And when such a thing happens in Northeast, one thing, we should, give credit to both the center as well as state government is that they've not let it spill out of Manipur as yet. Because in the Northeast, if it starts spilling out, then it starts spreading that the whole of Northeast can burn. Because they're very similar issues. It's taken a lot of effort to, keep things under check, especially in the northeastern states, and the kind of inclusiveness that we've seen of the northeastern people over the past couple of years also, should be lauded. So let's hope that an effort continues and it does not spill out, Akash. I mean, but for it not to spill out, I think you need to I think, go an extra mile to, actually put an end to the violence, because it's on, off, on, off, on, off, and suddenly it goes really bad and then it goes quiet.
Correct.
Just because media is not covering it in the headlines, it does not mean that Manipur has gone quiet now.
Exactly, very true, Vicky. That if the mainstream media is not discussing about the matter, what is happening in Manipur, it doesn't mean that the situation over there is absolutely quiet. But also, coming back to that, to what the CMO numbers are saying. So apparently, so like few weeks back, there was this a Myanmar national who was caught in Manipur, and then. It gave strength to CM Biren Singh's that theory that there is an outside hand in creating this kind of an unrest in the state. So, do you think that it's on those same lines, giving out these huge numbers just to create a little bit of more caution in the masses? Is that what you think could be one of the reasons that he gave out such a huge number?
Yeah, that is what I mean. Not exactly. I mean, not exactly. I would say, it could work both ways. It can, kind of, bring about, a cautious note. I mean, especially among the security agencies and also the people that, not everything is really hunky dory around here, but also it can create panic. Okay, that is also another thing. I mean, what if the meitei community reacts to this, and they also start trying to pay back in the same coin, then it can get worse. So it was kind of a gamble that was thrown, and I would look at it, when he threw the number, I think he was trying to more or less indicate the scale of the problem, rather than, I mean, how big it is and how big it could become in the days to come, rather than giving an authentic figure on the numbers. I wouldn't doubt the CMO at all when he says there have been infiltrations, but I'm not sure of the figure about it. As I said,
And yes, as you also said that he has not mentioned the time frame of how long was it done in one infiltration, or what sort of a time frame is for that infiltration.
correct. See, they clearly mentioned that they came in batch of 30s. Now, whether it has happened overnight, uh, definitely not. I mean, it could have happened. 900 people walking into your countries, and if your security agencies have not caught it, then we clearly have something to worry about. So that's one thing. Definitely not overnight, as it happened over the span of 6 months or 1 year. That is something I think needs assessment. But ruling out infiltrations and saying that no infiltrations has happened, I don't think that is a valid argument at all.
Exactly. So of course, we nobody is. I think nobody is ruling out the fact that there have been infiltrations because of the fact that kind of arms and ammunitions now these militants are carrying, and the kind of training they have been given. So this could have not been done from somebody who just walked into from India and gave them these kind of training. So definitely there might have been an international conspiracy over here, and of course we very well know that how China is always trying to fan these kind of issues, especially in Northeast, and its affiliation to Arunachal Pradesh also to some extent, to grab a land in Arunachal Pradesh has always been one of the biggest ideas for China. So of course, the close watch would also be there on those fronts. But yes, for now, the situation in Manipur, of course, I think as you very rightly said that because there is no reporting, huge reporting about the Manipur in mainstream media. So a lot of people think that there is a relative peace in the area, but of course it is not. The area is still very volatile, and but we hope that in coming days or in coming months, the situation becomes a little bit more, accessible for the people to at least, go there and be a little bit more normal in that state. But for now, that's all the time we have today on the podcast. Thank you very much, Vicky, for joining me on Defense India podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much.